tell you how it's helped me.
Okay.
Um, First of all, it's a dedicated time during the week when I can spend time with myself and with two other like-minded people.
I would say to a person that's considering peer pods that you have an opportunity in engaging with this practice to deepen your self-knowledge, to be able to, in a regular and compelling way, at very low cost, have an opportunity to do the psychological and spiritual work that is important in terms of claiming your own power and agency in the world, to mature as a human being, to be able to make wise choices about your actions, and that it is a part, it could be a part of a fulfilling and meaningful life, which is grounded in spiritual connection.
On that, I believe that as one person heals, we all heal. I think that it's a lack of recognition that maybe a therapist who's gone through their training, and I don't know this to be true, but I do know it from a medical perspective, that we see ourselves, or we're trained to see ourselves as separate, and we're doing the healing for them, or we're helping them heal, and they're separate and they need the healing. And in reality, that we're not separate. We are the same, running from the same juice of energy, from the same source at some point. We're all connected to the sun. We're all connected to the planet. We all have to eat the plants. We are all connected to the same force of energy. And that if someone's carrying a huge load, we are carrying the same load on some level. And that person has come into our lives in order for us to have that healing experience, whether we realize it or not. I think that it makes a big difference that we realize it, because then that gives us access to, like, oh yeah, how can I connect to that person's suffering, because I actually have that too somewhere in my life.
I think of it as a process that helps you to uncover and pull into the light these negative experiences that you've had throughout life that help to frame everything that you do and have done ever since. And it's like taking these scary little moments that you don't really want to look at and bringing them out into the light in front of a very supportive, safe space, and whatever amazing, miraculous, spiritual juju is happening around you, and you bring these out and say, hey, I want to see this differently. And it's a way to see it differently. And then when you pack that thing back away, you now have a completely different connection to it. You have a different symbolism around it. You have a way of seeing it that is much more healthy, and it's not going to weigh you down in the way that it did before.
There are many ways that peer pods really flows from a kind of wise approach to personal growth. And one of the things that I appreciate most about peer pods is that working with two other people, I really felt a sense of care and support. It was a process that I could undertake at my own pace and in my own way, and a process that I did not feel alone in undertaking. And the structure of peer pods, where there is a person who is really working with their material, another person who is helping to guide and provide support for that inquiry, and then the third person who sort of serves as a kind of a witness and a I don't know, a kind of holding container, you know, a nurturing presence, really created a safe space to to look at some things that are hard to look at, and also to allow the you know, there's a kind of magic to this process, and the magic is that it's not just what you know, what you or I think we know, but a kind of uh, uh, a sort of creative and emergent uh, dialogue with, with these larger truths, with, you know, with spirit, as you talk about. You know, I really felt comfortable in doing the work and felt supported, and you know, enjoy that, and feel that that's like been a real positive part of the experience.
And we've come up with 5 elements we say that are unique to the Peer Pods process. The first is you have a safe and sacred space to go every week, where you have trusted friends to do this deep work. 2 is you have a structured process for finding and resolving the originating events that keep our negative patterns, our addictions, and our limiting beliefs going. And 3 is the structured process to engage the mystery, with the notion that our personalities, being comprised of ego and shadow, tend to keep us stuck and limited, and we need to engage with the mystery, spirit, source, God, the unknown on a regular basis to get that insight from out of the blue, that gift that comes from who knows where, to help us move along in a compassionate and healthy way. The fourth element is we have a weekly practice that gives us the ability to take those insights that we have and to more easily turn them into integrations, to actually take the insight and integrate it into our life, because we have an ongoing accountability with each of the pod mates. And the fifth thing is we have a community of people who do this, who can mentor and support each other, and other resources that we're building around the practice. Sounds great.
Yeah, there's this feeling of authority and like unshakability that I'm beginning to embrace and honor, that feels totally joyful. And yeah, it's brand new.
Without planning anything. So like the last time I had this journey into, you know, I had a journey with my younger self when I was 14, and part of this was I was the only one living in my home. You know, I was the last to leave the nest, if you will. And part of what I came to realize was that, you know, I could meet up with this person in my dreams and we could fly. So anyway, there's a lot more to it than that, but that was sort of the symbolism that I took away from this journey. And then as soon as I got off the call, went downstairs, tried to figure out why my dog was barking his head off on the screen porch, only to find a little baby bird who had just jumped from his nest. We had a little nest in our breezeway, and we're waiting for this little birdie we didn't know if it was one or multiple. I thought it was multiple, but then I realized it was the one, or at least the one last birdie. And he was on the floor there, and I tried to get him back into his nest. He flew back out, kind of fell, and I watched him take his first flight across the yard. And it was just like, you know, it was everything that we had just talked about. I mean, so I just, the synchronicity of what happens after one of these has been just remarkable.
Yeah. in.
I think what you're pointing to, what I'm seeing is that that resistance that we have is a lack of fear and trust, safety. That we don't feel safe, so we don't go there, right?
Sure.
And it's a self-protective mechanism because you know wherever we're experiencing it, there isn't safety enough to process it, or there isn't enough love that we're experiencing in that moment to be able to go through that for healing. So it's put aside. And I think why this works so well is because we are creating a container for safety, so that we have the ability, and these other pod mates who are there under the premise of healing and acknowledging each other in a loving, respectful way, and then also calling in, you know, as you call it, the mystery, that just raises the vibration so that we feel safe enough to go there.
And that's
Yes.
fine. And that's part of the compassion that I want to bring to myself and to others as we work to reveal ourselves in a way that is really, I believe on some level that we're hardwired to reveal ourselves. There's this impulse to want to live out loud and to live fully and openly. And so the Peer Pods for me allows that to come forward. That's really what it does. It opens a space for that impulse in me that wants to heal and live outside my identities that are really I outgrow. And
Right.
I want to grow into a new, fuller identity. And it's scary. And that's where the support comes in. That's where the time frame comes in, that we I make myself commit to that because I know it's important. So I think in whatever role I'm playing in the Peer Pods session that we have, either witness, facilitator, or the person's actually exploring, and that's what it is. It's a real exploration. You know, it's like, it's not, we mentioned whether it was boring week to week, and it can't be, because there's new terrain and new things to discover and uncover and transform and bless. It's never ending. We're complex beings, and there's no end to the magic that we are. In any case, the roles that we play, as I mentioned before, I am you and you are me. So when you are doing your own discovery and exploration, you're really revealing a part of me that maybe I haven't even had the courage to look at. So there's times when I'm working with you or witnessing you, and you are revealing something in a vulnerability that it really opens me up. So it's a total win-win for everybody, because we're all, as I said, we're all in it together. And to the extent that you heal, I heal. So that's my takeaway.
Yeah.
The structure of Peer Pods as a group with 3 people working together in a kind of partnership, where there's a turn taking and a kind of balance between roles of facilitator and worker and witness, is one of its greatest strengths. And the strengths that I see within that are that there is a kind of humility that it engenders, that it is not about a single person's ego or project, but about the kind of growth around knowing that one can play different roles, and that those different roles sort of activate different parts of our humanness. One of being a person that is deserving of love and attention. One of being that as we experience ourselves as facilitators, we step into our own sacred qualities, our highest humanness, and it calls to our gifts of intuition and of uh, inspiration. And the role of the witness is in some ways sort of the most subtle and the most important of all, which is to step into the kind of almost nonverbal capacity to hold an experience and to hold it for another, and to then and through that to in our own process, but also in relationship to other people, find a deeper soul presence.
So when I think about the split between the immediate gratification or the stress relieving with alcohol or with food or with consumption, and then I think about the practice over a long period of time, I think about, and a practice being where you're building resilience, where you're building a sense of a new identity, where you're building support in with yourself and with other people for change over time. I think about our culture now, which is really into physical activity and going to the gym.
Yeah.
And you'd never think, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and have one workout and then I'm done. So somehow it hasn't translated. That is obvious to everybody. So they keep going to the gym. As a matter of fact, they make a lot of time to set up to go to the gym. And that's really great because people are taking care of their physical health and their bodies, but they know they have to do it over the long term. Somehow with mental health, or maybe, with this whole idea of peer pods, the fact of committing to a time when you're going to be doing this over time, it somehow doesn't translate. And so we go for the immediate stress relief that's, as you say, something quick and something, as you said, with shopping or with consuming or alcohol, drugs, whatever. So the whole idea of having faith that something will, and I think that's what it is, really. It's a matter of having faith that the time you're putting in to yourself, particularly with a peer pods practice, will actually be paying off down the road.
Right.
And to my mind, it pays off after one call, just in terms of becoming present and taking time to be with yourself and to listen to yourself, maybe being heard if you're the person doing the peer pods practice, or being the one that's facilitating. So it does pay off immediately, but in terms of the long-term change and change over time, that's a faith issue. And you need to, I believe you need to jump into that and see what's there for you.
I got it. So I've been doing a lot of different types of personal development work, yoga, meditation, doing my own self-study. And this piece that I was seeking, which I didn't know I was seeking, but I can look back and see now, that was missing was a blip in the system from the mental thoughts, forms, and ideas and judgments that I had, and I could work in that realm. And I learned through some ontological training that I can shift my mind about things and have a new experience. However, I still had the embodiment of these emotions that were still living in my physical body that were unprocessed. So I could literally take my mind and skip through things, but I'm still carrying around, like we were talking about, the weight of these past experiences in my childhood that I didn't have access to, that were unprocessed, that were running the show, that were running my life experience, the things in the subconscious mind. So I believe that this is a direct route to process the emotional body that we're carrying around, which is
Absolutely.
essential. I really believe that I took the career path I did to have this experience, and I feel like it's part of my purpose to be able to share what I've learned and discovered, and to help others who are on the same, who have chosen the path or felt called to a healing profession, and to turn the attention from here to here. I think that's the first. Well, of course, it's the first thing that has to happen, that there is an acknowledgement that I'm not doing as well as I could, and I want to know more. I have curiosity about what is going on. What is this happening? My internal experience, and where usually it takes something for that to happen. Some type of either small, tragedy, or something happens to us, and then we wake up to that there's another whole world outside of these eyes that we see.
Stories.
Yes.
Rilke has a great line. He says, I want to unfold because the places I am folded, I am a lie.
I like that.
And I often think about the places I'm folded, and bless me for that, because I needed to be folded at that time there to take care of myself. But at this point in my life, with the support that I have and the love that's around me, I want to unfold, and I want to inspire others to risk doing that as well.
Yeah. And also, I just want to say that many times it seems like I'm not going to be able to make the calls, and then something gets out of the way so that the calls can happen over and over again. So I know that a lot of people coming into this may think that it's overwhelming to commit to something once a week for an hour, and the benefits, once you recognize that the benefits and see it happening in your life, you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that hour. And then there's time for it, because I believe that that's what we're here to do anyway. So we just have to say yes.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is, what do you have to lose? I mean, there's no, it's a total, it's an opportunity to explore yourself. And so why would you want to do that? So you could have more loving relationships with yourself, number one, with the people around you, with your community, so that you could be holding your life and others' life and our whole human experience in much more compassion, much more empathy. And it's just a sense of gratitude that has developed for me over time, of being able just to partake in the whole mystery that surrounds me being on the planet and you being on the planet. And I would much rather walk in gratitude than in a sense of, this isn't fair, I've been done a dirty deal, I don't get it, what's going on. And it just, to me, it's just like, why not step into the possibility, as opposed to just being on the sideline wondering. So it's like, step in, and why not step into the possibility of what is inside of you that can be witnessed to, expressed, and supported in a Peer Pods culture.
I would recommend Peer Pods to people involved in healing professions of all kinds. This is a way for you to receive the care and support that you deserve as a healer yourself. And it is also would be a valuable a part of a life of anybody that's involved with education, if they are interested not just in sharing knowledge, but in helping to cultivate the agency and self-awareness of the students that they're working with. That the lessons of self-knowledge that Peer Pods uh, uh, reveals are lessons that can be important in terms of one's own capacity to be a leader and a teacher and a healer. I think that this would be a great gift for people that are in recovery. The principles of Peer Pods are very resonant and aligned with the principles of a 12-step process. I think that Peer Pods is something that also, interestingly, has the capacity to serve in the people that participate in Peer Pods, the creation of a really authentic community of practitioners.
Yes.
So there's many benefits for different kind of people. If I were to talk to one of my students or one of my friends about Peer Pods, I would say, give this a shot. What you will get is a supportive context for you to do your own spiritual work, to grow as a person that can support others, and that over time, your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the people that you're working with in your Peer Pods will deepen and grow and flower, and that you will live a fuller and more authentic life.
I mean, I don't know that this is so universal that anybody who's human, this is for. I don't think that it's for a particular type of person, which is also why I feel like it should be so, not anchored to any one particular culture or religion, because it's
Right.
something that every human being needs.